Greetings, hope you're doing well. This is a quick review of the new Yung Gravy album titled Gasanova. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy the video. This is the third album in just under 2 years for rapper Yung Gravy, starting with last year's Sensational. A surprisingly solid album that had a lot more versatility and production value to it, past its layer of comedy and satire. Gravy is known for his mimetic brand of hip-hop, but adds in genres of soul, trap, and funk. And with this sound on his side, it sounded like he could almost do no wrong. But then Baby Gravy 2 came out earlier this year and started to show signs of fatigue with Gravy's complacent ideas. He plays up this character who loves having sex, doing drugs, and partaking in preposterous shenanigans, which is great for a single or two here and there, but on a full-length album where you're hearing so much of it, especially with how much material like this has come out in such a short amount of time, the novelty starts to wear thin. So in these types of situations, in order to preserve the gimmick, the presentation of the tracks have to feel fresh and the musical ideas need to be fundamentally sound. And I would say that is the case about half the time on Gasanova. The opening track, Always Saucy with Ski Mask and Trippy the Kid, has a nice Always Sunny sample, the bass bangs, the flows are good, it's a solid opener. Martha Stewart is a pretty funny song. Usually when rappers are feeling themselves, they liken themselves to certain characters or inspirational celebrities or athletes, almost like spirit animals. Gravy's satirical take on this is that he feels like Martha Stewart. Whenever the hook plays, it makes me giggle. Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart. Bag of Chips with Bobby Raps is a track where apparently Fellatio is performed not for money but for bags of chips, which I found to be funny. Oops is a speeding on the highway banger, the driving beat, the bouncy flow. Gravy's degeneracy is presented in such a charming manner, it is the biggest highlight on the record. Other highlights include Gas Money. I love the saxiness of Party at My Mama's House. The cello sample on Miami Ice is nice, but that leaves the other half of the record, which to me fails to innovate or try anything new. Steve Austin with Young Dolph is painfully mediocre. There's nothing of intrigue that either artist presents on this track with their dry flows. The track Yup wastes a great instrumental with the whistling reed samples, but because of how dissonant Gravy is on this track, the hook is anything but catchy. The verses are recited as if they are cheap catchphrases. It is all over the place. Same with Whole Foods, where the grocery theme of the track I just did not find funny at all. I was also snoozing at tracks like Drip on My Dresser, Swimming Lessons, Jack Moneybean, and the bewildering Tampa Bay BUSTDOWN, which I will give it its credit. The smoky bluegrass folk sample is an interesting sound to hop on, but no one on this 2-minute mess of a track does it any justice. Not Gravy, and definitely not Chief Keef. At this point in Gravy's young career, I believe he's only 24, his appeal has run its course for me. A lot of the production features these samples of strings, jazz horns, Latin jam band, so the sound palette is pretty diverse in that standpoint. But the common denominator is Gravy himself. The lyrics are a dime a dozen. He repeats the same kind of jokes and gaffes and tropes over and over again. I know on most modern contemporary albums you are going to hear a lot of the same topics of sex and violence and drugs, so it's not something that only pertains to Yung Gravy. But like I said, at this point of his career, his character is not strong enough to rise above the basic cookie cutter formula he has made for himself anymore. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down below and I will leave it at that. I'd give it a